We had just settled into a well-earned lunch break under the sparse shade of an old oak tree, sweat still clinging to our backs after 5 straight hours working in 90-degree heat. The sun was brutal, and the scent of sun-baked soil and fresh concrete hung thick in the air. My crew and I were proud of the progress we'd made despite the constant interruptions. We'd been renovating a backyard patio for a woman named Lorraine Whitaker, and by all standards, the job should have gone smoothly. But Lorraine was something else entirely. The moment I peeled the wrapper off my sandwich, the sliding glass door slammed open with such force I flinched. Lorraine stood on the threshold, her face already turning that telltale crimson shade we'd come to dread. "What do you think you're doing?" she barked, eyes wide with fury. "You can't just stop whenever you feel like it. Brakes don't apply here. This is my property, and I need this done today." I stood, brushing crumbs off my lap. "Ma'am, under both state labor law and our signed agreement, we're entitled to a 30-minute break after working 5 continuous hours. That's not up for debate." Her expression twisted into a sneer. "I don't care what your little contract says," she snapped. "I'm the president of the Larkspur Hills HOA, and I know what's allowed. If you don't get back to work right now, I'll have your licenses pulled so fast your heads will spin." Nobody moved. Her disbelief that anyone would dare defy her was almost comical. Then she lost it. Lorraine stomped across the lawn and snatched my impact driver from its resting spot on the tool table. Before I could react, she hurled it into the street, where it clattered across the asphalt. She reached for the nail gun next. Tom, my foreman, stepped in to block her. "Ma'am, that equipment's expensive." "Don't touch me," she shrieked, pushing past him and flinging a measuring tape and a level toward the curb. "This is assault. I'll call the police." Looking back, I should have walked away the first day. But hindsight's sharp like that. Lorraine Whitaker had hired our company, Sierra Craft Builders, based on our reputation for precision and quality. The patio job was straightforward enough: rip up the old cracked flagstone, replace it with premium pavers, and add shaded pergola. The budget was generous. That should have been my first red flag. From day one, Lorraine treated my crew like we were her personal errand boys. She insisted we move our equipment 3 times because she didn't like how it looked. She questioned every decision we made, even ones already approved in writing. She hovered constantly. Miguel, our tile expert, nearly tripped over her twice in one day. She made demands for material changes after they'd been ordered, without concern for added costs or restocking fees. Her commentary was as rude as it was relentless. "My niece could do a better job," she'd say with a smirk, pointing at detailed brickwork that had taken hours to perfect. Every morning, she greeted us with a new list of complaints and bonus tasks, not in the contract. "While you're here, can you fix the garden lights?" she'd say dismissively. "Think of it as a favor to the HOA president." When I gently reminded her that extra tasks came with extra costs, she scoffed. "You should be grateful for the exposure. Contractors beg for my recommendation. I can build or bury your business here." It didn't end there. She refused to provide access to a bathroom, forcing my crew to walk 2 blocks to a gas station. She followed workers, accusing them of dragging their feet. Worst of all, she began withholding payments, citing vague satisfaction clauses, even though our payment schedule was detailed and legally binding. By the end of the first week, morale was shot. Tom, ever the pragmatic one, suggested we walk away. I hesitated. I hated leaving a job unfinished. But the lunch break incident changed everything. As Lorraine raged, she pointed at Miguel. "I saw that one lurking near my garage." "What did he steal?" she demanded, jabbing a finger in his direction. "I want all your trucks searched now." "You don't have the right to do that," I said flatly. "Unless you have evidence, we're not letting anyone search our vehicles." She whipped out her phone. "Then you're trespassing. I want you off my land. Now, I'm calling 911. She jabbed the screen with her finger and put the call on speaker. "Emergency?" "Yes, I need help," she said, her voice suddenly soft, trembling even. "There are men at my house. They won't leave. I feel unsafe. They're damaging my property." We stared at her in disbelief. This was a complete fabrication. Seconds ago, she was shouting in our faces, Now she was playing the fragile homeowner under siege. Knowing we might need it later, I directed the crew to pack up. We photographed everything: tools, patio progress, sign plans. Lorraine paced by the patio with a smug look, watching us. 2 officers arrived within minutes. Officers Grant and Ellison. They approached slowly, visibly alert. Lorraine ran up to them, playing her part perfectly. "They threatened me," she said breathlessly. "They broke things on purpose, so I'd have to pay more. They won't leave unless I pay them double." Officer Grant glanced at us 5 men, standing quietly by our trucks, wearing company shirts and tool belts. Not exactly threatening figures. "Ma'am, can you show me the damage?" As she led them to some rubble from the demolition, completely normal on any renovation. Officer Ellison turned to me. I handed him the signed contract, complete with photos of our progress, Lorraine's text demanding unpaid changes, and even video of her throwing our tools. His face changed as he swiped through. "How long have you been working this job?" 8 days, I replied. We started documenting everything after day 3. When Lorraine returned, still weaving her story, Officer Ellison cleared his throat. "Ma'am, based on the documentation I've seen, this appears to be a civil dispute, not a criminal one." Her jaw dropped. "What documentation?" "That's forged. Do you know who I am?" "I'm the president of the HOA. I can make one call and ruin these men." I turned to her calmly. "We're terminating the contract, per the harassment clause section 6. We're taking our equipment, and you'll receive a bill for completed work." Her face crumpled into a mask of outrage. "You can't quit. You work for me." We began loading our tools as she fumed. Neighbors, lured by the patrol cars, peeked out from doorways and behind fences. Lorraine, realizing she had an audience, flipped her tone again. "I fired them for poor workmanship," she shouted. But the damage was done. Several neighbors had seen the chaos. Frank, a retired schoolteacher from across the street, strolled over and addressed the officers. "If you need evidence of how she treats contractors, I've got hours of footage on my security cameras." I'm not the only one. The days that followed were eye-opening. Our post about the ordeal went viral in local contractor groups. We were inundated with similar stories: landscapers, electricians, pool guys, roofers all harassed, underpaid, and threatened by Lorraine. But it didn't stop there. Homeowners came forward too. Cindy, 2 houses down, said Lorraine threatened to place a lien on her home over decorative lawn gnomes. The Williams family had been fined for fabricated HOA violations every time they voted against Lorraine's proposals. Multiple residents accused her of entering homes using the HOA master key while owners were away for inspections. Then came the game changer. David Becker, the former HOA treasurer, handed over financial records to police. Lorraine had diverted HOA funds to pay for personal renovations, including our patio Project B fabricating board approvals. She'd forged signatures, altered permit documents, and funneled money to contractors who did work solely on her private property. Police opened an official investigation. Within weeks, they seized documents, reviewed bank transfers, and gathered testimony from at least a dozen affected vendors and homeowners. 3 weeks later, Lorraine was arrested during a neighborhood HOA meeting, ironically, while advocating for stricter contractor rules. She was charged with fraud, embezzlement, forgery, harassment, and misuse of HOA funds, over $68,000 worth of misappropriations. At her sentencing hearing, the courtroom was packed. Lorraine sat stone-faced as the charges were read. When the judge handed down a 3-year sentence, 1 in county jail, 2 on probation, and ordered her to repay $112,000 in restitution, plus court costs, she snapped. "This is ridiculous," she screamed as bailiffs approached. "I improved this neighborhood. Who's going to run things now? They don't know what they're doing." Those were her last words before being led away, still clinging to the illusion of her own importance. Since then, Larkspur Hills has elected a new HOA board. Lorraine's former home sits on the market, untouched and eerily quiet. And our crew? We're booked solid for the next 6 months. Turns out, the best marketing is just doing your job, right, and standing up to bullies like Lorraine Whitaker.